Hey everybody, we're going to be reading in the book of Ecclesiastes today, and we're going to start in chapter 4, and we're going to start in verse 9 and read 9 through 12. And this is what Solomon says. Two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But if someone falls alone, he is in real trouble. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two standing back to back can conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braid cord is not easily broken. Man, this whole idea that Solomon is writing about is this idea and this truth of community. But the problem is, in our Western American culture, and especially I live in Alaska, our Alaskan culture says independence. I can do it on my own. I need nobody. I have a really good friend of mine. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he tells me this all the time. He says, "Josh, 2 is 1 and 1 is none." In other words, two people running into battle, that's the value, that's the strength of actually one person running into battle. And it's funny because Solomon actually talks about that. And he says one person running into battle, that's worthless. They're not going to accomplish anything. They're in real trouble. But we've been born with this attitude of I can do it on my own. I can pull myself up by my bootstraps. I can put myself through college. I can do it I can, get the job. I can work really hard. Me. I need nobody. So many of us have this idea. I don't even like people. I hate people. Let me be alone. But that is so unbiblical. That's the opposite of who our God is. That's the opposite of the way you were actually designed. It's funny, I have a friend of mine, and he lives in the middle of nowhere, Alaska. You literally cannot drive to his house. You have to take a four-wheeler in the summertime, down to the creek, get in the boat, cross the creek in the boat, and then walk to his house. In the wintertime, you can snow machine all the way to his house. He lives in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, and he actually moved up, and he comes from a really big city with millions of people living in the city. And he moved up to get alone. And I was talking to him one time, and this is what he told me. He said, "Josh, it's really funny. I have never needed people more ever in my life than I do now. I came out here to be alone, to be on my own, but the reality is I cannot make it on my own out here. It's literally impossible. I rely on my neighbors, and my neighbors rely on me. I know their schedule. I know when they're leaving their house, coming back to their house. In case, they're supposed to be there and they're not there, we can get a search party to go look for them. We need each other." He's like, "When I lived in this really big city, I didn't know who my neighbors were. I didn't need anybody." And he's like, what dawned on me and what I realized is the more I move into isolation, thinking I'm going to make it on my own, the more I desperately need people. And you might be in your life right now feeling isolated. And it's so funny because it's so counterintuitive in our souls sometimes. I want isolation, but the more I want isolation, the truth is what I really need is community. What I really need is people surrounding me. When I trip and struggle in my sin and I feel like I want to be alone, what I really need are my brothers around me, supporting me, keeping me accountable, walking me through repentance. When I feel like, I've screwed up too much, or I'm just having a bad day, or I just want to be left alone. And yes, there is something to solitude. Jesus went and he was alone, but there was a purpose to it. It was to be near to God, to get rid of distractions with God. But then he left that solitude and came back to the people. We need each other. We need community. And again, the funny thing is the more you feel like you don't need it is when you probably really do need it. So I want to challenge you today. If you're feeling like, no, I can do this on my own. If you're feeling like, no, I just want to be left alone. I don't need anyone to help me through my problems. I can figure them out. Try community. Try leaning into your local church, finding Christian brothers and sisters who will lift you up in prayer, hold you accountable, walk side by side, and help defeat the enemy together. We can do it together. That's the way God created us. Love you guys. Bye.